You've signed up for beginning band. Awesome. But it kind of begs the question, right? How does someone go from just starting out, maybe not even knowing how to hold the instrument, to becoming a real musician on stage? What's that process actually look like? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into.
You know, when you look at the official goals, it's about way more than just hitting the right notes. It's really a three-part mission. You've got to develop the actual physical skill to play your instrument. That's the foundational technique. Then there's learning to read music, which is basically becoming fluent in a new language. And finally, you develop what they call aesthetic awareness, which is just a fancy way of saying you learn what sounds good and why. It's the whole package.
Okay, so before we even get into the music itself, let's talk about the rules of the road. Because joining a band, it's a real commitment. It's a choice, for sure, but it's a choice that comes with some pretty important expectations. And these are all in place to make sure the entire group can be successful.
So here's something that's kind of interesting. Band is both an elective and it's selective. What does that mean? Well, elective means you choose to be there, right? No one's forcing you, and because of that, the expectation is that you're going to participate fully. But it's also selective. This means students are usually grouped with others who are at a similar skill level. And that's actually a good thing. It makes sure everybody's being challenged, but nobody's feeling totally lost or overwhelmed.
And that choice to join, it comes with some real responsibilities. I mean, you need a high level of discipline, especially when you're in a big class with lots of other people. You're also on the hook for getting your own instrument and all the stuff that goes with it. And probably the biggest one, you absolutely have to show up for the required concerts. We're going to talk more about why that's so important in a bit.
All right, you get the commitment part. So now for the fun stuff. How do you actually learn to play? Let's dive into the craft, the real nuts and bolts of what it takes to become a musician.
This whole journey really breaks down into 3 big steps. First up, you have to learn the language of music. That's all the notes and symbols on the page. Then you work on actually making a great sound with your instrument. It's one thing to know the note, it's another to make it sound good. And finally, you learn how to practice, and that's a skill in itself. How to practice smart, both by yourself and with the whole band. Each one really builds on the other. And just to give you an idea of how specific this gets, let's talk about embouchure. It's a funny sounding word, right? Embouchure. All it means is how you use your mouth and lips on the mouthpiece of a wind or brass instrument. And getting this right from the very beginning is, well, it's everything. If you get it wrong, you build bad habits that are a real pain to fix later on.
So speaking of getting things right from the start, this brings us to a really important topic, the band director. Let's talk about how they guide you, because their help is absolutely essential for building those good, lasting habits.
And this quote, it really says it all. The whole point of the program, at its heart, is to help every single student build correct and consistent habits. It's all about that strong foundation for the future. You want to set them up for long-term success, and that starts with getting the technique right from day one. But here's the thing, sometimes just talking about it isn't enough. To really get that foundation right, it can require a little bit of brief, hands-on guidance. And honestly, it makes perfect sense, right? Think about a golf pro adjusting a swing or a dance teacher correcting posture. Sometimes a small physical adjustment from an expert is what makes it all click. It's a totally normal and often necessary part of learning. And these examples really hammer it home. When a band director adjusts a student's hand position, it's exactly like a coach helping an athlete with their form. Or when they help correct posture, that's no different than a dance teacher adjusting a student's stance. It's all about that expert guidance to make sure you're doing it properly, safely, and in the most effective way. And of course, this kind of guidance comes with a very clear set of promises to the students. This isn't just random. First off, it's always discussed. Any physical adjustment is going to be super brief and gentle. They'll always explain it with words first, and most importantly, directors are always sensitive to how each student feels, to their comfort level. The whole system is built on open communication between everyone involved. Okay, so you've put in the work, you've learned the techniques, you've practiced, you've refined everything. Now, it's time for the big payoff. This is the moment where all of that hard work finally comes together for the final performance. So, what's the magic number that every band member and parent needs to remember? It's 2. Just 2.
There are 2 required band concerts, and I have to stress this. These are not optional. You can think of them like the final exam. They are the grand finale for an entire semester of work.
And this is why showing up is so critical. Band isn't a solo sport. It's the ultimate team activity. I mean, every single person has a part that's essential to the whole piece of music. If just one musician doesn't show up, they're part of the harmony or the melody or the rhythm, it just vanishes. It's gone. A single absence really can throw off the entire performance for every other kid on that stage.
So there you have it.